Hello, loves. Welcome to Sunday Brunch, our little get-together. Our little get-together that happens every Sunday. Let me go ahead and fix the stream very quickly. Am I logged in? That's the question. Okay, maybe not there. Excuse me. I think I'm going to have to go back into YouTube. One of the problems, one of the problems with YouTube is that, or Restream, is that sometimes I don't see everybody's comments. So, hi, Deborah Murphy. Hello. Hi, Jill. Oh, you took the girls for a walk. Good for you. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Karen. Thanks for being a member. Are you still in Sweden, Karen? Is that where you are? Hi, Yolanda. Hi, Chris Crowdis. Thanks for being a member. Hi, Donald. Cheers. Oh, let's let everyone find the stream, shall we? Looks like we've got 79 people stumbling into our virtual cafe. What is this? The cafe, the salon? What do we call it? It's kind of like a really large brunch table, right? Hello, Donald Lampard. Hi, Joel Tilson. Thanks for being here. Hi, Joyce Pietris. Thanks for being here. Hi, Wendy Bird. Hello. Well, if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, it would be awesome if you could like and subscribe. All right. So how was everybody's weekend? Was it good? Yeah, did you have a good time? Get out there and have some fun. I know last week we had a long weekend, right? We had the Labor Day. Tough time for many, right? Trying to get decent pay. So a lot of people on strike. That seems to be what the remote views have said, right? Is that workers are fighting back. I think it's really, in this world, givers and takers, right? And unfortunately, there are people in this world that use our compassion as a weapon against us. You know, that is really a spiritual lesson for all of us, is that we have got to be able to learn to fight back. Excuse me, which is very difficult for us as empaths, because we don't want to hurt anybody. We don't even want to hurt the people that are abusing us, right? So our own empathy prevents us from striking back. And unfortunately, bad people know that, and that is why they get ahead. They have no trouble beating the crap out of us because they don't have a conscience. They don't have empathy. And so those of us that are empathetic, it becomes a weapon and wielded against us. And one of the things that's difficult for us as liberals, as loving people, is that we are having to learn to show no mercy. And that is really psychologically difficult for us. You know, when you look at the spiritual idea of the divine feminine, which is something that we're going to be talking about today, the divine feminine. This is today's remote. We have a couple remotes today. Like I said, be sure and take a seat. I did go to the doctor. I had a cold. They did not give me antibiotics. I also have an allergic rhinitis, so I am under treatment, so hopefully I won't be coughing as much as I usually do. But my cold is almost gone. I apologize. Okay, so before we get started talking about the divine feminine, I think, would you guys like it if we did the empath's prayer first? We are raising money to help the people of Morocco. They experienced a 6.8 earthquake, and they've recovered 2,000 bodies, unfortunately. It looks like the earthquake was in the Atlas Mountains. It was registered as a 6.8 on Friday, and the World Kitchen is already there. That's how quickly they work. And they're working with local Moroccan chefs. So, which is one of the things that World Kitchen does, so that people will be familiar with the food that they're eating, etc. So if you would like to participate in helping to get food to the people of Morocco, then we would appreciate your donation. If you find anything about the stream even remotely entertaining, please think about donating. All right. So without further ado, let's do the Empath's prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with, and together collectively we say, Amen. So a couple announcements. I hope everybody is enjoying the class we started for healers and empaths. If you are a member at the healers and empaths level, feel free to join us. Class started on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Videos are available to members at the Elders Empaths level. It's a 10-week certification course in heart-centered remote viewing. If you complete the course, you will be certified at level 1. If you repeat the course with grid work, you get level 2, and then level 3 is when we prep you to do your training manual. So you'll prep your training manual. Level 4 is teaching certification. So if you're interested in any of that, think about being a member or check out the videos that have already been put up if you would like to learn heart-centered remote viewing. And of course, we are grateful to everyone who decides to be a member. It allows me to do this work. I also want to give gratitude to Debbie Brady, who has been the creative director for the channel and has really cleaned up the channel and made things really great. I do feel like at this point I want to do the rest of the channel on my own. So even though Debbie's kind of completed everything and gotten me up on Restream, etc., I'm kind of a lone wolf. So she kind of got me up on my feet. Now I'm kind of doing the rest on my own, but I do want to thank her for her help and for the fan pages and all the other great stuff. Also give a shout out to the unbelievable Joel Tilson. You know, he comes here faithfully and all he gets is what we say in Yiddish, surus, difficult times. So we consider him like our floor director. And so we are grateful for that as well. Also, Debbie is the talent manager of several up-and-coming celebrities here on YouTube. So please be sure and check out their channels as well. Chuck Dransfield, of course, he's an actor, a brilliant artist. Be sure and check him out. On Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, we'll be back again with the infamous Chuck Dransfield, and we'll be talking about the phenomenon of cryptids. What is a cryptid? Are these other species or other life forms that we simply haven't discovered, or do they come from an interdimensional portal? Sounds awfully strange. We're also going to be seeing film footage of cryptids. There's also some film footage, believe it or not, of aliens, grays, believe it or not. People say that grays don't eat. Stealing fruit. Who knew? There is some film footage of cryptids stealing. So you would wonder, like, what do grays eat when they're desperate for fluids? And evidently they steal Well, they don't, do they not have teeth, the grays? I think some of you guys know this stuff more than me. Do they have just like little teeth like fish? They can't really chew very well, right? So they can eat like soft fruits, right? So they need fluids, and they're a carbon-based life form, so they need carbon to burn. So carbon sugar is it's like gasoline sugar. It's a carbon-based fuel source. So yeah, there's stealing cherries. They've caught them. Well, think about, wouldn't that be great? Say you decide that you just want to live in the human world, and you're a hybrid gray who's 7 feet tall, and we've already caught them stealing cherries. So just give them another job and have them be a cherry picker, right? Like they're 7 feet tall. It's a fuel source. It's carbon. It's carbon and water. And also, when you think about it, the red fruit, cherries, strawberries are both red, so they contain specific types of antioxidants that protect them from radiation. So 2 film footage, grays and cryptids, and both times they were stealing fruit, which you can burn as fuel, right? It's carbon based, and both times the fruit was red. So we got a little bit of a pattern forming here. Yes. Taco Tuesdays is weird news. Cherries and strawberries. No, but this is real film footage. Like the guy, he was like, who the hell's stealing my cherries? You don't expect a hybrid gray. Anybody here know anything about? I thought they didn't eat human food. What the hell? Anybody here know anything about this? I could just see a gray like sneaking into somebody and stealing their strawberries. And here you thought it was the gopher. As if we don't have enough problems with the aliens. Now they're cherry picking. Oh my God. Well, as you can see, the crazy naturopathic doctor that treated me over at Zoom Care did in fact cure me and get the right diagnosis. My remedy is Zyrtec. But only temporarily, because we don't want to be on histamines for a long period of time. It's just a temporary. All right, so the divine feminine. We've talked about the divine feminine, so we're going to give a remote view about it. We've already done the empath's prayer. We think about compassion as being a really important part of the divine feminine, but if you look at the way that the world is turning out, you've actually, the yin and the yang is, yeah, because it was rhinitis. The drip was coming from the nose. And Zoom Care has naturopathic doctors, and we are extremely well trained in find the cause. So he was asking very pinpoint question. The cause was the tip of my nose. And he's like, well, this just sounds like allergic rhinitis, but you probably got an infection as well. I don't think you need antibiotics. It's not in the lungs. Why don't you just do your herbs and neti pot and take some Zyrtec? And he said, and I'm not going to charge you because we're not writing a prescription. So I didn't even get charged. And I'm like 80, 90% better in 20 minutes. I still have the infection, but yeah, naturopathic medicine. We prescribe pharmaceuticals if they have to, but he didn't want to prescribe antibiotics only if you got pneumonia. Your immune system is strong, doctor. Let's just let it do its thing. And I was fine. So I'm a naturopath. I believe in it. All right. So one of the, I am blessed. I'm very lucky. I thought it was coming from my lungs. He says, lungs are good. Lungs are strong. They are. He's like, no. And I have a mild polyp. I have a little tiny polyp on the right side they found, which is also part of the problem. You can have them removed. It was all coming from right here, all that coughing and everything. Isn't that amazing? I don't know. You're probably bored. You don't want to hear about this. Okay, so the divine feminine, we're going to talk about the energies. It's compassion. So when you are in the divine feminine, you feel a sense of compassion, altruism, like the mother, the way the mother loves her children, this love that comes out of your heart. It's the open fourth chakra, right? This is what spirit wants you to understand. And this is a beautiful thing. But in traditional society, yeah. Well, no, he was he was a naturopathic doctor at Zoom Care. So compassion is important, but it needs to be protected. In Hebrew, din is to put up a fence. It's considered yang. So you have the feminine, which is yin, and you have the masculine, which is yang. So when we think about the feminine or the yin, it's dark, it's quiet, it's cool, it's damp. And when we think about the yang, it's hot, it's red, it's fiery, its emotions are anger, heat, aggression, drive, rashes, etc. In Ayurvedic, it's called pitta, the pitta dosha, when you have too much heat in your body, right? Well, the problem is that we became too imbalanced. The feminine became too compassionate in the sense that it lost some of the other attributes of the divine feminine, because the divine feminine is not just compassion. The divine feminine is the empress, which is an aspect of the divine feminine, but the divine feminine is also the high priestess, which is wise. So she isn't just compassion and, oh, you can take my wallet, you can take my leg, you can take my kidney. Oh, this is great. You got a great girlfriend. She lets you take everything, right? The empress, she just loves and loves and loves, and it's wonderful until you end up killing your mother, right? Because you suck her dry, right? So there has to be balance in this world. And that's where you have to be able to have din. You have to be able to have boundaries and fences up to protect so that the treasure trove is not exploited, right? So the empress, we say, is the treasure trove that ever overflows. And so Gaia is the treasure trove that ever overflows. And when we are in the divine feminine, we are in the state of the treasure trove that ever overflows. Right? But we have to understand that there need to be boundaries. And that's where yang is important. Wise wisdom is an aspect of the feminine that comes in when we measure who should have what compassion when. Everyone deserves compassion, but compassion also has to be measured. Sometimes compassion is calling somebody out when they do something they shouldn't do, right? So they have to be wise. The other thing is they have to be cunning. The high priestess is cunning. The divine is cunning because she has to be, because she doesn't have the physical strength of the yang. And so she has to learn to cloak, right? We've talked about cloaking. So a lot of the time the divine can hold the space, but you don't necessarily always know what's going on in her head. So part of divine feminine power is being silent. Not, you better be quiet, woman. No, they're talking about the silence of being cunning, where your face is neutral, but nobody really knows what you're up to. So you are compassionate, you are wise, but you're also cunning. You're also patient. You can wait. Robert Mueller, right? He brings in his divine aspect as a prosecutor. He can wait. I can put that money bag that's in the desert in the middle of Texas that got dumped by a Russian. I'll put a camera there for 10 years until the next Russian spy shows up in the middle of nowhere in Texas, right? Mueller did that, and he waited 10 years and he caught the guy because he was patient, because the divine feminine knows how to wait. She knows when it's the right time to strike. This is the divine feminine. And this is the part that we as liberals have the hardest time with our feminine aspect. And the final aspect is she is ruthless. Ruthless. Once she has assessed the situation, once she knows and has isolated the toxin, she doesn't just take the poison and go and piss the poison off so that it replicates even more. No, she takes it out. The strike is deadly. So if you are going to strike, the first strike must be deadly. And you must show no quarter. So they don't know what you're up to. They know you're unbelievably compassionate. You give to the poor. They know you're unbelievably wise. Your husband trusts in you. It's in the Torah. All the days of his life, right? You consider a field and buy it, right? The woman of valor. You are compassionate. You are kind. You are wise. You are cunning. She considers a field and she considers it. She has the capacity to be cunning. And then when she sees there's a threat to her farm, say some rabid animal is coming to eat her baby, she doesn't sit there and say, well, I'll just shoot him in the toe. She takes him out. So this was exemplified in the story of Esther, the book of Esther. And Esther was thought to be the story of Ishtar, the goddess Ishtar. And it was Esther who was the queen, and her husband Ahasuerus was being convinced to engage in like a genocide against the Jewish people. So Esther was very, very beautiful, and she exhibited the divine feminine. She sat and waited. She fasted. She waited. She was wise. She was cunning. And then when the time was right, she was ruthless, and she ordered the 10 men to be executed, and they were. She brought down the revolt. She didn't say, well, you can stick around to change your mind. So this divine feminine is not always compassion. It's not always nonviolent. And I think we see that in the courts today, don't we? Where the courts have started to move towards a feminine interpretation of things. And we're seeing a lot of the bad people, like the January 6th people, going to justice. And they're striking, and they're ruthless. 22 years, the last guy, right? So we see this energy of the divine feminine rising up. And these are the traits that we look for. Yeah, Jack is patient. He doesn't show you his hand, but he's ruthless because it's necessary. If it's ruthless, like in the case of a samurai doesn't, right beforehand and then go like this in the middle of a brutal war. There's no hesitation. When the time comes to strike, he does that small part of us that says, oh, I don't want to hurt him. That's the part that the sociopath knows that we possess, that is our weakness in battle. And that is why we keep losing in elections, and that is why we often lose in war. Well, just if he wants the land so bad that he's willing to kill all the Ukrainians, just let him have it. We're happy with our brown rice in our little room with our book. Oh, he wants the room in the book? Okay, well, can I keep the chair? It becomes this thing of the givers and the takers. The So Purkh. The So Purkh. Anyone heard the So Purkh? Spell that right? Might be. I think that might be how it's spelled, the So Purkh. It is a prayer for the divine feminine, and it's the divine feminine praying for the divine male. So if you would like to pray for men and to pray for the divine masculine, they talk about this energy of givers and takers and how we can get out of balance. It's all take, take, take from the mother. But in traditional societies, the healthy male protects the mother, creates a fence so that mom can get her rest and get some sleep. And so we're out of balance. And yeah, check out the So Purkh. I can't show you guys more than something like I'll let you guys see part of it so that you can get the basic concept. And then what this does from a vibrational perspective, there's a reason why I want you guys to learn this. There's a reason why we're doing this today. If you want to help, we talk about helping, right? We talk about helping even those we may have strife with, right? So this prayer, I can only show you a little bit of it, is the prayer you would recite in Naranjan Kaur, a nice little promotion there of her recitation. It's just so beautiful. And they say she repeats it 11 times traditionally. And women would also recite it for 40 days. Women could recite it for 40 days, 11 times a day for 40 days to find their husbands. But also they would pray for their husbands when their husbands were going through rough times, because it's difficult to be a good man, right? So, yeah, it's a beautiful prayer, an ancient prayer, and very powerful. All right, the last remote, people asked me if I could tune in really, really quickly. The first was they asked me to look at Gaia and the divine feminine. Thank you for that question. Questions were, we opened people up to questions we posted yesterday. So the next conversation we're having has to do, people asked if I could try and figure out what happened to Lindsay Graham. What do you guys think happened to Lindsay Graham? You know, there's discussions about it, that, you know, that he may have been compromised, and that why did Lindsey Graham put himself in this situation? As many of you know, he, along with a couple of other people, they asked Fani Willis to actually prosecute him. Were you all aware of this? So what do you think? Why was he not prosecuted? He was not prosecuted, and his friends were not. Oh, I had it listed somewhere and I put it down the wrong place. But Kelly Loeffler, is that it? was that her name? She and Purdue, is that his name? And also Lindsay Graham, they recommended being prosecuted, but she decided not to. So the idea is that either he flipped and he's working with a federal investigation, which would explain why Trump turned on Lindsey Graham. So I think flipping is definitely an idea. I asked Lindsey Graham, I did a remote view, and I asked Lindsey Graham, he did not talk about being compromised. He talked about GOP strategy. He only wanted to talk about the GOP strategy for winning in the House, winning the presidency, etc. He said, we motivate people to go to church, so we teach them their conservative values at church. Go to church where you learn your values. Okay? We want you to go to church so that we can indoctrinate you with these values. When you go to church, you donate. We want you to go to church. We want you to hold on to these values, give big in the churches. Then the money from the churches goes to the lobbying groups, right? Heritage Fund, etc. So the churches, these mega churches, are pouring your money into the lobbying groups. They're not being taxed, and so they're able to go put unlimited amounts of money into lobbying groups, untaxed money from the churches, like Heritage, etc. And then that money goes to fund RNC candidates through those lobbying groups. In this way, the church is funding their agenda. I liked Trump because he motivated rural voters. He motivated them to get out the vote. And without rural voters, it is unlikely that the GOP will ever be able to win a presidency again. We've got to have rural voters, and we've got to have rural voters turn out in droves and be motivated. And the only person who can do that is Trump. What do you think about what he's saying to you? You want to talk about it? Do you hear what he's saying? They can't win the presidency if rural voters don't vote. He got rural voters to vote, and that was how he won. He won by getting them to vote down ballot. So even if he doesn't win, he gets rural voters to come out and vote. He also helped conservatives down ballot. He said, we are never going to have another Republican president. So we see him as a loser who can't win the majority. Lindsay feels that this is the best they're going to do because it's even worse in rural areas if you have a candidate that's lackluster, that can't get the people up in those areas to vote. So that was his argument. This was just him telling the truth about what was motivating his actions. What was motivating his actions was that he had never seen anybody that was able to motivate rural voters the way that this person was, and that his strategy of getting out rural voters did a lot of really good things in terms of getting conservatives in other ballots, on the ballots, elected. This is where Lindsey Graham is coming from. So yeah, that's basically what I have for you today. He's not talking about whether or not he got caught in a dress or anything like that. He's saying he's not talking about being blackmailed. He's simply talking about the strategy for winning a presidency and getting rural voters who traditionally don't vote. They don't come out to vote. And it tells me as a Democrat that we have got to get out the vote and we've got to take back rural areas for the poor. And that poor white people have been screwed over by the Republican Party, and that the Democrats turned their back on the poor rural white communities. And we need to go back to those communities and help them and start working with unions and go back to being the party. Remember what I had said in the remote last week, the party of labor, because labor and labor rights and fair wages, that is the subject going into elections in the 2024 elections. Right. All right, let's do some blitzes. Blitz, blitz, blitz away. Oh, let's do the community reading first. I forgot I have to do a community reading. Is everybody ready to get your community reading? We've already done the Empath's prayer. Yeah, would you guys like a reading? And be sure and check out all the great merch, lovely merch from our very own wonderful, lovely Debbie, who was kind enough to make those beautiful things for us. Great way of supporting the channel. Thank you, everybody who's donated also to the fund to help Morocco after the earthquake. We're raising money for the World Central Kitchen. They are already on the ground in Morocco offering emergency food aid to people in need. So we thank them for their work. And if you'd like to throw a couple bucks their way, I'm sure they would very much appreciate it. All right, let's get the community reading going. What does Spirit want you to know about? You guys want me to focus on jobs, you're saying, huh? Let's see how you guys are going to be doing financially. And yeah, we'll get a general going. Okay, where we are at right now as a community, you guys are going to be okay financially. He's a real president. We have a real president. I don't know why people don't like, why would anyone have a problem with Joe Biden? He's amazing. We have this King of Swords moving in, which is Din. It's the law. It's a strong mental capacity, right? It's logical, it's reason, it's boundaries, it's appropriate behavior. So we're coming into ourselves in a very solid way. You know, this is kind of a feeling that you have, you've arrived a bit. You know, you're of sound mind. You've got money coming. Many of you have money coming, settlements, promotions, money is good. Well, he took care of a lot of my problems, so the man has been good to me. Very, very good to me. All right. Again here, Queen of Swords. Put the past behind you, make a clean break with the past, and begin anew, and also clear-headed, right? I see you are clear-headed. Look at this. Very much focusing on your health this year. Look at you guys. Discipline with health. These are discipline cards, the disciplinarian, right? Look at your health cards. I'm like that. Look, we can all do 5 minutes of stretching. Just lower your head as far as you can to your feet. It feels good, you know, but we can all do a little bit more, right? Like Whimsy drinking her mullein tea when I had that cough, right? We can all do a little more. So commitment to your health this year. Also, Six of Cups. Learn to reach out to those people who have been friends to you in the past. Yes, people have been nuts. People can do terrible things to one another, and we ourselves have made mistakes. But those people who have proven their loyalty to you, return back to those who have shown loyalty to you. If you're confused about certain relationships, maybe try to look at them from a distance. Not people who are playing with you. If you're confused, don't run into it. But I'm saying people who historically have been good, like good female friendships. Three of Cups is like armistice. It's a celebration of positive relationships. And then here to go back to these positive relationships. Very creative time for many of you. Lots of writers, lots of intellectuals. Wish has been granted. Your family legacy. The family legacy card, 10 of Pentacles, breaking cycles of child abuse, neglect can be an example of family legacy. Inheriting wealth seems to be coming up here as well, because an Ace of Pentacles came as the karma card, 10 of Pentacles as the final outcome. Would indicate that you have a positive outcome for your family legacy. It can mean breaking cycles in a family, but also familial poverty. Healing your life, healing the family cycle. That's what they're saying. Archangel Raphael over the family, healing family dynamics. Many of you are scholars, intellectuals, and academics and have good heads on your shoulders. And so it's likely that you will continue your education. I predict that as a result of Joe Biden's work and people working alongside him, education will be free to the masses, because what happened was so terrifying in this country, the state of education, that they're now doubling down to make education as affordable and high quality. Don't punish someone because they want to become educated. You can see here we're moving towards high academia education. I just see financial stability for people. Well, I'm in the middle of a case, with somebody who owes me money, and he wants to pretend he doesn't. No, we just forgot about it. No, we didn't. So it's that kind of energy that has to clear. But it's the time of year, too. It's right before Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So energetically, a lot of that stuff's getting cleared away. Yeah, so that's the collective. A whole generation to ignorance. And now we have to, everything that they unraveled, this is kind of the theory that humans, when they are not educated, they fall into the Middle Ages. They begin to believe in capricious forces. Like medieval peasants believed that they were going to get hexed by witches and, worship the Blarney Stone and all this stuff. And we are returning back to that because we don't have science, we don't have reason, we don't have logic. And so part of the joke of this channel is making fun of that. Part of why we started this channel was to laugh at that, to be a part of it for fun, but then also to redirect people towards the importance of science, the scientific method, how to read a paper, how to look at the problems with the parameters of the study. So we can have fun in this world, but we have I would say half of you are teachers from what you've told me. We can have fun playing in this world of magic, but because most of the people here have good brains on their shoulders, we can actually look at data and say, wait a minute, what are the parameters? And I think that that's something that our country really has to address right now, is that our education is really in crisis. Hi, Veli Verde, good to see you here. And yeah. So that is the situation. I guess we can do some blitzes if you like. That might be fun if we blitz away. If y'all had some questions for me, maybe we can go ahead and... Oh, Melissa almost burned her lunch. I'm sorry. Ooh, Joyce Petrus is having Indian food. Yum, yum. Oh, Karen, you're coming back from Mexico, but you got the flu. Yeah, I like this upper respiratory thing that I had. I think it's just going around. But yeah, I don't think it was COVID. I think it was just from the dust and wind. You know, you get it in your throat. And these are, we live in interesting times. So yeah, actually Biden he's in Vietnam right now. He's starting to really work at the Pacific Rim, trying to create strong relationships with our Pacific neighbors. And I just don't think China is doing well economically at all. You know, every time I look at China, they're just doing terribly. Oh, Geocosmic ask, are the cryptids and grays stealing the fruit? Probably not, because they don't consider it stealing. Yeah, that's true. Anybody know about this, about aliens being able to eat? Oh, they had an alien in captivity that loved strawberry ice cream. Yes, strawberries. This has come up over and over and over again, Linda, that there is something about the strawberry. I think it's easy for them to eat. I think it's carbon based energy. I think it's got electrolytes. It's basically something that they can consume. But God, why I wouldn't give them strawberry ice cream though. Like dairy, I would think they would have a problem with dairy. But simple to eat plant vegetation that's easy to chew, like a strawberry, I can see. Also, a strawberry doesn't have any rough fiber. You know, it can be chewed even with. Yeah, it was allergic rhinitis, but I actually had a cold too. No, I didn't. They said I didn't have to go on antibiotics. It's gone. It's mostly gone. It's just been annoying people for a long time, so I feel guilty about it. But I mean, I don't know why it took me forever just to figure out how to treat it. It was really annoying. Um, oh, somebody's writing that Jack Smith is very patient as well. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jack Smith is very, very patient. And I think that in general, um, not, yeah, I can't remember where I was going to go with that, but uh, Lindsay Graham, not enough grand jury votes to indict Lindsay Graham. Is that what you heard? Let's take a look, because are we blitzing away? I want to see about Lindsey Graham, because I think, you know, well, he was like, I'm just trying to help. Was he attempting to, making a phone call and asking if anything can be done may not have been enough to actually prosecute him. So let's see. I don't know. We'll just do a blitz on it. I'm curious. He was back and forth to Georgia, so he definitely spoke to them. This is Southern. He went there. He spoke to Fani. He stabbed him in the back. He flipped. It's pretty obvious. He goes down to Georgia, stabbed him in the back. He told the feds everything he knew about the coup. He flipped. Do you need me? I don't think you need me. Look at this. He goes down to Georgia, stabs him. The other in relationship with him is stabbed in the back. Here come the feds. So Trump knew. So Trump knew that he had made a deal with the feds. So then the question is, can he still be prosecuted federally? There's a debate about whether or not No to the state. He cooperated with the state, and still pending. This is the latest, and you can mark it down. It is still pending whether or not the DOJ wants to charge him. It was referred back to the state. That's what I have. You want to see it? He's got the Queen of Wands over him. This guy's not, he was outside his bounds, right? Boundaries. She's the judge that controls the boundary. He was outside of his boundaries. Look at this, stabbed in the back. Look at that. This is the Trump train. They were asking him specifically about money, the finances over January 6th, what he wanted, and then cooperation, conflict. He flipped. He flipped. Well, I think it's very interesting what they're saying. They're saying that they have not decided. He could still face prosecution by the feds. According to Joel Tilson, it was a 13-7 on the grand jury indicting Graham, and that's pretty much what the remote said. I mean, he made a phone call and asked a couple questions. It doesn't really meet the standard. And then he goes down to Georgia and he cooperates with that. But while she herself decided not to prosecute him, it still remains open whether or not there'll be action taken by the feds. The feds will probably not prosecute him so long as he's actively answering their questions and cooperating. So that's kind of where it falls. Yeah, I think this is a really important point that Joel Tilson is making also, which is that Jerry Falwell extreme politics, these were the people that were getting the money to the Heritage Fund. They were hauling in massive amounts of money and then directing it towards political groups. Should this be illegal in, excuse me, should this be illegal in the United States? What do you think? Yes, no? Why aren't the churches being taxed? How can all this untaxed money be poured into these lobbying groups legally? I'm not okay with that. All right, so this is something I want to talk about, which has to do with the white supremacist, the extreme right religious groups, where what are these churches teaching? Are we looking at a kind of polite fascism that's taken hold of our Supreme Court? What can we do about it? Let's take a look. Should churches be banned from donating to political causes? Yes, new bills to curb where churches can give their money. So a church is a, excuse me, is a religious group. They will take away their rights to donate to political groups. Five of Swords, controlling their money. A new beginning of the churches. Churches are heartbroken. Could be moving really quickly. Ace of Swords. Yeah, they are taking control of the power of the churches. People going to jail in the churches. The churches are under criminal investigation for racketeering. Found a bunch of evidence, multiple churches. Oh, it's like that money they found in the glass church in Texas. What was his name? Olman or whatever his name is, his church, tricksters in the church. The feds are going after the churches. Well, I didn't see that coming. Did you guys see that coming? Hauling evidence, corruption, church people facing jail, a treasure trove of evidence and money found against them. They took the power away from them, a new beginning or a series of investigations, prosecutions of church elders by spring of next year. They're following the money back to the churches. There it is again, betrayal. We're going to start seeing the churches hauled in. Anybody surprised by that? Anybody surprised by that, remote? That the money goes back to the churches and not to a foreign government? Joel Olsen, when the feds went in and they found the money, they had buried it in the stucco of the bathroom. Well, it seems to be saying that if you are a church and your parishioners give you $100,000, you can't take $50,000 and give it to the Heritage Foundation, knowing that they're going to turn around and give it to Lindsay Graham's campaign. So that's the scam. I mean, happy to expose it. You know, I'm a remote viewer. I'll go wherever you guys send me. So that's what they did. Now, the question, you are American voters. I was hired as the remote viewer. I delivered the remote, and now you, the American people, get to decide what to do about it. That's kind of how it works. I'm not responsible. People got mad at me. I just read. I'm just reader. It's a technique and we teach it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can learn heart-centered remote viewing. I'm not really an oracle. It's just a joke. No. Remote viewing works. It's a 5-step technique. Anybody can learn it. You have to practice and practice. It's like the violin. Anyone can play the violin, but are you willing to practice? I mean, that's the truth. There's a lot of people like, man, I don't want to practice remote viewing. Okay, then don't. It's not your thing. It's not. Hire somebody. Just like if you don't want to play the violin and you're getting married, just hire somebody, right? Yeah. Let's do one more. Yeah, let's do one more Blitz. It was fun. I'll go a little longer today. Oh, something was announced in the national news the other day. Yeah, I mean, I just don't even know how this is even legal. How can you take all that money and then give it to lobbying groups that then give it to I don't like this thin wall between government and churches. I think it's very dangerous. There's a middleman, which is the lobbyist, but it's still not a separation of church and state, and it's very dangerous. And it needs to become part of the public discourse, which I guess is why we're talking about it. All right, we'll do one more. Congress members indicted for January 6th. Yeah, probably, I would think, Joel, because when you go into the remotes on the DOJ, they're still actively talking to people like Lindsay Graham, and according to what they're saying, they haven't decided yet whether or not to prosecute him. They probably won't, but it's still open. It fell back to the feds. So it's something we have to think about, right? Yes, they're actively moving to prosecute members of Congress. It's one of the last things one of the things that they had asked about with Lindsay Graham has to do with the churches and the fact that I can get the money. I can get it from Heritage. I can get it from the Liberty charity I founded, which is related to Liberty University College, whatever, which was part of the group that was funneling money into the conservatives. That's under this investigation. So you have the feds, the FBI is the Queen of Pentacles. So that, yeah, they're under the churches are under federal investigation, and so are Congress. So, yeah, look here. Fear of incarceration, evidence against them. So I would say very likely that they will be prosecuted. I don't think they'll get off. And I think it was not Russia. I think, we want to pretend, it was the dog ate my homework. It wasn't Russia. Russia didn't do this. The dog didn't eat we did it. We never adequately dealt with our racism problem. We never adequately made restitution for the victims or the descendants. We've never addressed the racism of the church. And so it rears its ugly head over and over and over again. For all intents and purposes, they're basically Confederates, right? These are trying to get their way back in there with their values, their Confederate values, right? Their Confederate values and their eugenic philosophy, which they taught at their private universities, which is why they didn't want certain people coming to their private universities, right? They're exclusive Protestant universities, right? And what we're seeing is kind of like the last dregs of that, right? We're kind of seeing the last of the old dinosaurs. Well, I'm going to call it a day. If you guys could like and subscribe, that would be great. Or subscription is great. It's a great way to support the channel. Our subscriptions are down. I got to motivate people to subscribe. If you are trying to get in for a reading with me, please check out the Booksy information below this video. You just click on it, and I will call you for a phone reading. If you need just a quick Wizio, I can usually get them back to you in a couple of days. Those are pre-taped readings. I think they cost something like $25-30, and I can give you a quick blitz on the Wizios. Oh, hello, Randy, Texas, Etsy Wolf Magic. The Pilgrim Society, I didn't know about them, but that sounds pretty darn spooky. Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Be sure and like and subscribe. Chuck and I will see you on Tuesday for our taco get-together, where we will talk about cryptids and all that fun stuff. All right. Be well, everyone. Thank you.